Welcome to the Communication Diva Podcast, episode 64. In this episode of the podcast, Jenn muses about that little two-word sentence that communicates so much. Thank you. Stay tuned for future episodes of this podcast, where the Communication Diva will reflect on other crucial two-word sentences that communicate so much more than one would expect. Go away. You're fired. Freeze, police, and perhaps the mother of them all. I'm pregnant.
Hi, this is Jenn Swanson, and you're listening to Communication Diva, the podcast that talks about all areas of communication in the hopes that something might help you to improve your communication skills or make you think a little bit about how you communicate, and in turn, that this would help improve the relationships that you have either in your personal life or in your professional life. And it is a beautiful sunny day here in Vancouver. I think it's going to get up to something like 20 degrees today, which is, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but that's 20 degrees Celsius, which is pretty nice and warm. And this is the day that my family and I are taking off to a sunny, even sunnier climate. And we've been looking forward to this trip for a couple of years. There's a whole pile of us going, and it's been quite an adventure and organization getting everybody ready for this. But yeah, so this podcast is going to be quite short. I just, I have a whole bunch of little things that I wanted to mention. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. It's mostly going to be me saying blah, blah, blah. And hopefully there's a little bit of entertainment or interest in there. Nothing particularly hard and fast skill-wise. I do have some interesting interviews lined up coming in the future with a number of people, and so some of the people that I will be interviewing, Gina Williams is a local composer, singer, songwriter, and concert pianist. This woman has a voice that will knock your socks off, and she can play the piano. I just love watching her play the piano. She is so animated and so passionate about it, and it's really fun just watching her play. But then when she starts to sing, she'll just knock your socks off. And she has her own website. I think it's ginawilliams.com, Gina, but it might be .ca. But anyway, I will be talking to her in the near future. Another person is the well-known actor and personality Jackson Davies. Now, he's well-known in my neck of the woods because he used to be, many years ago, part of a television show called The Beachcombers. And I actually grew up with this show. And he was the cop, and he was sort of a bumbling, funny comedy character. And he's done many other things since. And he is actually teaching film and television right now at one of the local universities. So I'm going to be talking to Jackson Davies in the near future. In the summer, I will be interviewing a very interesting woman who I haven't actually met yet, but I've corresponded with her online. She calls herself the Bedroom Joyologist. How's that for a title? Her name is Allison Braun, Braun. And Allison works predominantly with women, but she works with communicating, helping women to communicate in their relationships and in their sexuality. And she holds weekend workshops. She does one-to-one coaching with people, and she helps people learn to communicate in their intimate relationships in a more deep way. And I think she would be somebody interesting to interview. And so she's another person that will be coming in the near future. I also have someone, I don't know her full name at this point, but she's come to my attention. She is an occupational therapist who works with disabled children and horses. And she works at a local riding center here where my mom actually volunteers. And she works with they take these children on trail rides, and it is um, it is really therapeutic for these kids because horses have a way of communicating with people that is very unique. And so I'm going to hopefully be talking to her at some point. So lots of interesting people. If you have somebody you think that would be good to hear from on the topic of communication in any way, please let me know about that. Drop me an email at jenn@communicationdiva.com, or you can talk to me on SpeakPipe or get a hold of me somehow. And I would love to know who you would like to hear on this program. One of the things I was thinking about mentioning was thank you cards. And this week, we received 2 thank you cards in the mail. And it's really exciting these days when you open your mailbox and you actually get a letter. When it isn't junk mail or advertising or a bill. We hardly get any bills anymore that way. They all come online now. But we actually got 2 letters in the mail, and like cards, not letters. But what it was that for my husband's church, they were doing something called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And he works at one place, I work at a different place. So that's why we have different different churches. But this Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is where people sign up to be guests and people sign up to be hosts. And you don't know whose house you're going to. You just get an address, and the people who are hosting don't know who's coming for dinner. They just know that they're getting 2 people or 4 people. And so we volunteered a few weeks ago to be hosts of this, and we were supposed to host 4 people at this dinner. So we decided to cook a big Italian dinner, and we made a 4-course Italian dinner, which is a fair bit of work, but we both really like to cook. So it was fun. And in the end, it turned out only 2 people arrived because the other 2 people got the date mixed up and thought it was the following night, which was really unfortunate because it would have been lovely to have them over. We found out who they were afterwards, and it would have been wonderful. But anyway, we had a great evening with the 2 people that came, and they enjoyed the food, and it was nice to get to know these people because I had never met them before, and that was fun. And then, 2 days later, we got this beautiful thank you card in the mail from the couple, and I thought, this is a dying art. This is something that doesn't happen very often anymore, and I am guilty of this too. Sometimes I try and send thank you emails, or I have one friend, whenever we go out for coffee, he always sends a text afterwards that says, that was really fun. It was great to see you. Thank you. Like, he always sends a follow-up text, right? That same day after we've had a visit. We don't visit very often. I don't see him, more than every, 6 months or something. But when we do get together, it's lovely. And to have that nice little, it's just really polite. It's manners and it's gratitude. And I know I've already talked about gratitude, but I really think we don't say thank you enough. And then a few days after we received this lovely thank you card, we got another thank you card from the person who organized the whole event, saying thank you for hosting. And, I understood that the people that came enjoyed themselves. So, I just thought, I wonder if that's a generational thing. And I wonder what you think about that. Or is it just that we're out of the habit of formally thanking people? Now, I know that when our kids receive gifts, we're pretty intent upon the fact that if the person isn't present in the room right there, it's important to either phone them and thank them or send a thank you card or a thank you note. And that was always something that we were big on when all the kids were growing up. And our youngest 2 had birthdays in March and April and received gifts, cards and money and gifts from relatives. And they were very good about phoning and saying thank you. And that's just part of what happens if someone has taken the time to write something in a card, put something in it, and then go get a stamp and take it to the post office. It's a lot of work these days. It's a lot easier to fire off an email. But there's something lovely about opening your mailbox and finding something handwritten, addressed to you, that somebody has taken time to write. There's just something something wonderful about that. And so I wonder how many of you have received, particularly in North America where it seems to be disappearing, how many of you have received a letter or a handwritten anything from someone you're connected to in the mail of late? That would be an interesting thing to find out. I know that I try and send out birthday cards and things to nieces and nephews for their birthdays, and separate Valentine's cards so that each person gets something in the mail. But it's hard sometimes to remember in the busy life and busy days. And Christmas cards. We try very hard to send out a whole pile of Christmas cards. And that also, I think, is a bit of a dying art. I've been, at Christmas getting these Christmas emails and those Christmas musical email card things that you click on, and then this, it's a fake card that does all these things. Well, I mean, it's a digital card that does all these things, and that's great. But there's still something about the really pretty artistic look of some of these actual hard copy cards. So that, I was just thinking of gratitude, and I was thinking of thank you. It was Professional Administrators Week this week here in, I don't know if that was just in Canada or if it was everywhere. And so taking the time to thank the two lovely and amazing women that work at the church that I work at. They share a job and they do all sorts of things, and they're always there to answer a question or to do something if something's needed. And just saying thank you to them it felt important this week. And so I did that. So I just wonder, who in your life do you need to thank? Who in your family do you need to thank? Is there somebody that does something for you regularly that you can show appreciation to and be grateful for? Because I think sometimes we don't do that as often as we could do it. And it's just really a nice thing to do. What else happened recently? I spent the weekend with a pile of teenagers in Vancouver. We stayed at a great big, beautiful cathedral-like church called St. Andrew's Wesley United Church, and affectionately known as A&W. And it's an absolutely gorgeous, built in the style of some of the European churches. It's beautiful inside. And we stayed there Friday night, and we did all sorts of things. And Saturday morning, we went down to what's called the downtown east side of Vancouver. And some people may have heard of this. It is where some of the poorest people in Canada live. It is truly an interesting place to be. There are a large collection of homeless people that literally live on the street down in that one section of Vancouver. It's called East Hastings. And there are a lot of services down there. There are a lot of people who are suffering with addictions, with mental illness, and with all sorts of other physical illnesses. And so we took the kids down there and spent a lot of the day at what's called First United Church, which is actually no longer functioning as what we would think of as a traditional church. It's a mission. It's got 60 beds, 40 male beds, 20 female beds. They have all sorts of programs. They have foot care programs for women where women can come in, and there will be people there to bathe and wash and massage their feet and do their nails and give them clean socks, because it's really hard when you're living on the street to not have clean socks. And if you don't look after your feet, all sorts of problems can happen. They have social programs. They have programs to help people deal with some of the addictions and the problems, housing programs, music programs. There's a feeding ministry there. They feed about 1,000 people a day. They make 1,000 meals a day in that area. So it was good. We were painting, we were sanding doors, we were cleaning, they have a thrift store a couple doors down, and we were helping sort and wash shoes, of all things. And it's such a big task that they're always looking for help. And so it was good to take a bunch of kids there and to see and to work. And a lot of the kids went outside and served coffee. They made giant urns of coffee and stood on the street and gave coffee and cookies away to people. And it was the interactions, what the kids were interested in. And these were kids from 12 years old to 20. What they were interested in was having conversations. We talked in advance on the Friday night. What are you interested in? And the most common comment came back, I want to have a good conversation with somebody. I want to connect with somebody. And it was a wonderful experience. And then afterwards, we wandered around up and down the street and looked at some of the other services that are there. There's a needle exchange program and a library for $1 a year. You can join the library and have access to all sorts of books and computers, and there's a games room where you can sit and play chess or have a board game with somebody. And the guys behind the counter there were saying that the majority of their patrons are over 40 years old and are male. I thought that was interesting too. There are far more homeless men apparently in this corner of the world than there are women, and older men as well. Yeah, so we had a really good day, and after we had done that, we went back to the church we were staying at and took the kids swimming so that we could have them have a shower so they didn't stink. And the very next day, we did the 10-kilometer Vancouver Sun Run, and that is twice or more the size of the Boston Marathon. It's not a marathon, though. It's a run. It's a race. But we were in the last section because the majority of us walked, which is a very long walk. And it was a beautiful day. The sun came out just for the sun run. There were 49,000 participants, and the streets were absolutely packed. I sent out a picture on Twitter not that long ago with the picture of the sea of bodies. It was quite something. And so it was a beautiful walk, and there's people on the sidelines dinging cowbells and cheering people on. And there were numerous people with yellow and blue ribbons in their hair or tie-dyed spray-painted shirts, blue and yellow, big paper hearts pinned to them that said, "We love Boston." There were an awful lot of people who were running for the people that were hurt or killed in the bombing that happened in the Boston Marathon. This is in 2013. So that was great to see. There were everyone from 2-year-olds on tricycles to grannies in wheelchairs to people who are serious runners who ran it quickly. So that was a great day. It was a long walk, and we ended up having to walk quite a ways back to the church we were staying at. And that's when the rain started. So we got through the race, got through the finish line, and then the rain started, and it was a bit, we were kind of drenched. But anyways, it was a very long weekend. I was very tired by the end of it. Sleeping on a church floor is just a bit of a challenge for me nowadays. And I think it was a good experience for everybody involved, and really, really good people to hang out with all weekend. So anyway, so that's a little bit of what I've been up to, and I am looking forward to getting some sun and having some downtime here. I will also be looking forward to getting back to Communication Diva and interviewing some interesting people and sharing as much more as I can with you. I love what I do. I love communication. I love talking to people. And I am really grateful and want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to me go on and on. And I hope that you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day and that you keep well. Until next time, this is Jenn Swanson with Communication Diva.